What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a Monday edition of Coming Off the Bench here live on YouTube on the Benchwarmer Sports YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for coming out here on your Monday afternoon or whenever you guys are watching this show. I really appreciate all your guys' support. You guys have been absolutely killing it lately with all the support. I really appreciate each and every single one of you guys and your support. It all means the world to me. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the stream. Hit the subscribe button if you like today's content or just like any of my content here on the channel. And we got a doozy of a show for you guys today because we're going to be talking about the Shedeur Sanders show last night in Las Vegas. We're going to be diving deeper into that, give you guys some of my thoughts and analysis on the game. Had to, watch it a little bit later than everyone else just because I was at work yesterday, but still got around to watching it. And I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. I'll give you guys also my thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. Should he remain the starting quarterback going forward? We'll be getting into Kevin Stefanski's comments and what he had to say about the quarterback situation. And some other people in the Browns themselves as a team and some people outside who have a lot of power have their own opinions about Shedeur Sanders and if he should be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns going forward. We'll get into that later on in the show. Once again, guys, thank you guys so much for all of your support. Recently, it has been absolutely outstanding. You guys have been killing it. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get on with today's show, shall we? So, yesterday was pretty much, it probably went as good as anybody could ask for if you're a Shedeur Sanders fan, right? Shedeur came out here against the Las Vegas Raiders. We said that they weren't a necessarily great team, right? They weren't necessarily the best team in the world. They had the same record as you going into this game, 2-8. They got Max Crosby on the defensive side of the football. Their passing defense wasn't necessarily the greatest. Their rushing defense was pretty good. And I said this on Friday when we were previewing the game that if the Raiders take away the run game, a lot of the game plan is going to have to revolve around Shedeur. And, he finished the game with 11 of 20 passing. He only threw the ball 20 times, right? But what we saw from Shedeur, and when I say that a lot of people who are in the pro Shedeur camp, it probably went as good as you could probably ask for if you're a pro Shedeur fan, is Shedeur showed you from last week against the Ravens when he went in, he looked overwhelmed. It looked like the game was sped up for him. He didn't look, comfortable at all in any single scenario, probably until the last drive of the game against the Ravens, right? He didn't look comfortable at all. Today or yesterday against the Raiders, he looked comfortable. It looked like the game slowed down for him a little bit. And it looked like all the reports about him preparing extra, getting extra work in, extra meetings with Stefanski, sitting by himself in the cafeteria with his iPad watching film, everything like that. That all looked like it paid dividends for Shedeur Sanders yesterday because we saw a lot of the mistakes tamped down. He only had one sack yesterday compared to I don't know how many against the Ravens. It seemed like there was like 6 or 7 sacks last week against the Ravens. He only had one sack, and that was because he tried to extend the play. He had a good pocket. He probably should have let go of the football. I don't know if anyone was open or not on that play, but he tried to run and get it, escape to try and rush the football, but he's not that type of athlete, right? So again, that was like between that and then some of the, he had that one really bad interception where he threw it into double coverage. Outside of that, he looked like a very generic, average rookie. And that is a huge success for, Shedeur Sanders and for the Browns because if Shedeur Sanders looks like an average rookie, right, in his first start, if he just gets more reps, he's going to get a lot better. Now, to me, I think the Browns need to instill that into Shedeur's head that he's not a Patrick Mahomes. He cannot be this escapable, quarterback who's shifty in the pocket or whatever. He can move in the pocket, yes, but if they tell Shedeur and teach Shedeur to just be a lethal pocket passer, then I think he's going to be absolutely outstanding, right? That, to me, that is Shedeur Sanders' best strength, is if he is a pure pocket passer, if he just tries to eliminate most of this escapability stuff like you see with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes can do that, right? Shedeur Sanders can't. He's not that type of athlete, right? But if he could just be a pure pocket passer, he can be lethal, man. He can be lethal. So that's what I see from Shedeur Sanders. I see a very, very good pocket passer. And if you just get more talent around the guy, I think the Browns could have some success with Shedeur Sanders being your quarterback. Now, again, going back to the reports about him preparing, everyone was saying like he was preparing for this game like it was his last, game ever, and that his career depended upon this game, right? Shedeur Sanders has to bring that mindset and that intensity in training and preparation to every single game going forward if he's a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, right? He has to do that. Going forward, this cannot be a one-off thing. And I don't have any, qualms or any, I don't expect him to just like, oh, well, I'm good now, so I don't need to prepare like this anymore, right? I think he's going to prepare like he did with the Raiders game. He needs to continue doing that in the future because, to me, there's enough there with Shedeur Sanders to where you can see the ceiling is higher than Dillon Gabriel, right? Everyone said this before the season started, even before the draft process. Everybody knew Shedeur Sanders is better than Dillon Gabriel, right? The ceiling is higher for Dillon Gabriel, or the ceiling is higher for Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur needs to prepare like he prepared for the Raiders game every single week going forward if he's the starting quarterback. And he should be the starting quarterback going forward. There should not be any discussions with Kevin Stefanski or anybody about Dillon Gabriel coming back in. And I said this, it's going to be tough for Kevin to give up on Dillon Gabriel, but Shedeur Sanders showed you yesterday that he's a lot better than Dillon Gabriel. I mean, the one throw to Isaiah Bond, rolling right, pressure coming in his face. I don't know if it was a cover zero or what. It was some blitz, but they got 2 or 3 guys rushing at Shedeur. He runs to his right, throws an absolute dart on the run, 50-plus yards, and drops it right into the bucket to Isaiah Bond. That we've not seen that from Flacco this year. We haven't seen that from Dillon Gabriel this year. Shedeur Sanders was the guy that can make that play. And if you're Kevin, you have to say that, no one else could do that. Nobody else could do that. Nobody else has done that for you. Dillon Gabriel couldn't do it. Joe Flacco couldn't do it this year for you. Shedeur Sanders is able to do that for you. But again, he's going to have to prepare every single week going forward like he prepared against the Raiders. And to me, I saw enough to say Shedeur Sanders should be the starting quarterback going forward. I saw enough of a sample size to get comfortable with the idea of giving him the rest of this season. Because to me, you're going to have a big argument on your hands, or a big fight on your hands with Kevin Stefanski, who's going to want to put Dillon back in. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was a report coming out, or not a report, a video that came out from the Browns Twitter account. And I'm not saying that Kevin never went up to Shedeur. I'm not saying that, but they didn't post a video or a picture of Kevin Stefanski going up and hugging Shedeur. They instead had a video of Andrew Berry going up to Shedeur, hugging him, talking to him in his ear when they were in the locker room after the game, which was very interesting to me because, to me, again, we all heard the reports and the rumors that Shedeur Sanders was Andrew Berry's pick, Dillon Gabriel was Kevin Stefanski's pick, and when you get a video of Andrew Berry going out there, and giving props to Shedeur Sanders in the locker room, that sort of lends credence to me that Andrew Berry may have been the one to pick Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round after everyone thought that the Browns were done after picking Dillon Gabriel as the quarterback in the 3rd round. To me, that lends some more credence that Andrew Berry may have been the one to pick Shedeur in the 5th round. But also, I kind of wanted to get into this idea too about why Shedeur Sanders he's just so much more exciting, man. He makes the team so much more exciting. And to me, I don't know if you guys will agree with this or not, but Shedeur Sanders, we all knew going forward, he's a polarizing figure. He has this confidence, this swagger, this innate, this confidence about him, right? And everyone either is put off by his overconfidence, they view him as egotistical, cocky, or other people say he's just very confident because he's good. To me, I see traits of Baker Mayfield in Shedeur Sanders. I see the cockiness. I see, the confidence in himself, the ability to pick everyone else around him because he's just such a confident guy, and he just brings, this feeling, this confidence in the locker room. To me, that reminds me of Baker. That reminds me of Baker. I want to play you guys a clip because if you guys probably have seen this, right? This clip from before the game started last night, where the CBS was doing this in their pregame interview before the game started. This lady from CBS asked Shedeur Sanders, how he's feeling about the game, and what he can do about Browns. What his message is to Browns fans and to the organization about his first NFL start.
What do you hope to show against this Raiders defense, your teammates, yourself, and these Browns fans with your play today?
I'm who they've been looking for. Appreciate it.
Like, does that not give you Baker Mayfield vibes? Does that not give you Baker Mayfield vibes? Like, to me, every single time I heard him speak yesterday, that felt like a Baker Mayfield segment. It just felt like Baker Mayfield. I'm feeling dangerous. If anyone's going to turn that franchise around, it's going to be me. That's what Baker said during the combine, right? Shedeur says, I'm the guy they've been looking for. Like, to me, there's just this confidence that Shedeur brings that we have not seen since Baker. We have not seen his confidence from a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback, since Baker Mayfield. And I just think that there is a lot of comparisons that you can make to Baker Mayfield. And again, I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is going to be as good as Baker Mayfield. It's just one game. I'm not going to say Shedeur Sanders is going to be the greatest quarterback in Browns history. I'm not doing that, right? But to me, there's this confidence that he brings to the team that we haven't seen since Baker Mayfield. Remember Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield came in against the New York Jets after Tyrod Taylor went out with a concussion, right? And I said this last night in my video after the game. The similarities to Baker and their careers starting is very, very, very eerily similar. They go out. It's a primetime game. 4:25 is considered primetime, right? Dylan Gabriel's out there. Everybody wanted to see Baker Mayfield in 2018. They didn't want to see Tyrod Taylor. Everybody wanted to see Shedeur Sanders. Nobody wanted to see Dylan Gabriel. Both Dylan Gabriel and Tyrod Taylor go out with concussions after playing, Dylan Gabriel played better than Tyrod Taylor did against the Jets, but they both go out with concussions, and in come Baker Mayfield, and in comes Shedeur Sanders. Now, Baker had a historic, electric, debut against the Jets on Thursday night. Sanders struggled against the Ravens, but then what was their first NFL starts? Against the Oakland Raiders for Baker Mayfield, and then against the Las Vegas Raiders for Shedeur Sanders. Again, to me, the it's just funny how the stars align that way for the Browns, because to me, those are the two most hyped up for the last 10 years. Those have been the two most hyped up, polarizing, electric rookie quarterbacks that have come to the franchise. You had Baker Mayfield, his first NFL start was on the road in Oakland, and Shedeur Sanders' first NFL start was on the road in Las Vegas against the Raiders. And again, it's funny to me how that lines up, because I see Baker Mayfield and Shedeur Sanders. Not in skills. I don't see that. But in the way that they bring confidence to the team, in the way they bring swagger, and just their overall presence and aura that they bring to a franchise, that's what I see in Shedeur Sanders. Now, I think that you're going to have to give Shedeur Sanders the Baker Mayfield treatment, in which you're going to have to tell him, just like you had to tell Baker, you're not as good as Patrick Mahomes, but you're good in these areas. And if you just continue to work at these areas, you're going to be a very good quarterback and successful quarterback going forward in this league. And then, unfortunately, it didn't work out with Baker. Baker thought he was better than what he was. He had to go through those trials and tribulations until he wound up in Tampa Bay. And then we've seen what Tampa Bay and Baker have been doing ever since, right? Shedeur's going to have that same mindset, right? He's going to have to go through those same growing pains, right? He's going to have to figure out that he's not going to be as, this athlete that he thinks he is, in the NFL. He's not. So he's going to have, like I said, he's going to have to realize the best trait for him is his accuracy and his ability to be in the pocket. If they just improve him as a pocket passer, improve that offensive line and give him weapons, the Browns can be a very good team. I definitely think so. I almost said desperately think so. But to me, if they're able to just get that switch in him and just say, okay, you're not going to be able to scramble around the backfield. You cannot twist and turn out of sacks in the NFL. You're not going to be able to do that. But if we build the offensive line around you, we give you enough time, we get you enough, more weapons to work with at the wideout position, we think you can have success in this league. We do. That would be my message if I'm the Browns going forward to Shedeur Sanders and say, hey, if you get rid of the necessary sacks or unnecessary sacks, you work at your craft, you just work at being a pocket passer, then I think you're going to have success here. And I think that is the best path for success for Shedeur Sanders. And I think that they desperately need to try and do that, because you cannot go back to Dylan Gabriel. You just cannot. And we're going to go in the next segment where we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you, the people who are talking about Shedeur Sanders and the way that they describe Shedeur Sanders. You can't go back there. You can go back there. But I'm going to leave you guys one more clip from Shedeur Sanders at the press conference after the game, just to hammer down my point about the Baker Mayfield comparison. We'll get you. I just want to show you guys this viral clip that came out from the post-game press conference.
But there's no excuse. You got to go out there and perform. Like, there's no choice, there's no question. Nobody cares if this was 1 week of prep. Who cares? So a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. But there's no excuse.
I mean,
you got to go out there and perform.
Again, to me, the kid just has the confidence. He brings the confidence to the team. And like I said, we're going to show you later on in the next segment, his teammates are picking up on that confidence. And that's why Shedeur Sanders has to remain the starting quarterback going forward. But that's just my opinion. Thank you guys so much for coming out here. You guys have been absolutely killing it. Let's see. London Jets fan 4627 says he looks good with 1 week's preparation. He should start next week against San Francisco. Then we will know a lot more with Shedeur playing against a much better team. Let's face it, the Raiders were atrocious. I agree. Like I said, it's the Raiders. They're definitely not a good football team, but that's why I think if you keep Shedeur as a starting quarterback, the guy's going to be good, man. He's going to be good. And I say he's got to prepare every single week like he did against the Raiders. They said he was doing everything, extra work, extra this, extra film sessions, preparing like it was his last game in the NFL and that his career depended upon it. He's going to have to prepare like that every single week, and they have to instill that preparation in him. And I have confidence that Shedeur is going to continue that work mindset. And I mean, a lot of people have said that he likes to work and he works hard at what he does. So I don't have any, qualms or anything about, Shedeur Sanders not being able to work hard. Parmesan Sandhu says, speaking of Baker, I had flashbacks when he got hurt last night. Yeah, I know. He sprained his shoulder. Hopefully he's all good. But yeah, I know. A lot of people were saying that yesterday. Beast Girl says they can't bring back Dylan Gabriel. I agree. The Rams defense gave Baker some problems last night. And then the game of the day was the Eagles and the Cowboys game. I didn't watch that. I was at work, like I said, unfortunately. But I heard it was good. And then, yeah, the Rams are a dark horse, man. A lot of people are not talking about the Rams. But, I mean, Matt Stafford looks like he's, not slowing down anytime soon. That guy looks amazing. Colorado Buffs one fan says, to people talking about it was the Raiders, Dylan had all training camp in 2 weeks to prepare and lost to the Jets to a QB that actually threw for 12 yards. And Myles Garrett had how many sacks? They still lost. I know. I agree. That's why I said, I've said this till I was blue in the face. Kevin is going to want Dylan Gabriel to go back because Dylan is Kevin's guy. He needs Dylan Gabriel to succeed because Dylan was his draft pick. And from all reports and rumors that Shedeur was Andrew Berry's guy, and Andrew Berry picked Shedeur after Kevin picked Dylan Gabriel. So we're gonna see how everything works out. I said do not be surprised if Kevin goes back to Dylan Gabriel. But after last night and what we're going to get into in the next segment here, I just do not see how you can bring back Dylan Gabriel after what we saw yesterday and the confidence that everybody had on the team and just how upbeat everybody was after the win. I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. It felt different than like any other Browns win, right? Any other Browns win this season. It just felt different. B Scrolls says Giants at Lions was pretty good. Winston plays that. So I saw that earlier today. I think how many trick plays did the New York Giants run? They had like 5 trick plays, and like 2 of them ended in touchdowns, including like Jameis Winston caught like a 25-yard touchdown pass, even broke a tackle, which was insane. Parmesan Sandhu again says Sanders should start from here on out. I agree. Colorado Buffs fan again says Shedeur has always been a pocket passer. Look at the records he broke in Colorado. He either broke, set, or top 5 in every category. But keep in mind, every other quarterback had 4 to 6 years. He didn't. Yeah, I know. I agree. But like I said, he has this like remote. I've seen the last like game and a half, even in the preseason. He has this tendency to try and escape. He thinks he's more escape. He has this like escapability that he doesn't have, right? And a lot of these, you can tell by a lot of these rookie quarterbacks, they see Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes can get away with a lot of stuff by maneuvering around in the pocket and all this other stuff. A lot of these quarterbacks can't do that. Shedeur is not that type of athlete. And I saw this, we've seen this for like the last, preseason and the last couple of games here, where he tries to escape and get away from sacks and all this other stuff. He's not that athlete. He's not that fast. He's not that quick enough to get away from a lot of these guys. So I think if the Browns build the offensive line around him and give him better weapons and just tell him, hey, stick into the pocket. If you need to move around and maneuver in the pocket, do that, step up, maneuver, all that stuff. But his biggest trait and his biggest asset to him is being a pocket passer. And I think that if he is able to become elite at that, or even just very good at that, then the Browns are going to be in very good shape going forward. Beast Girl says Judy is not the wide receiver to back up Shedeur. I agree. I think Judy may be gone after this year. I would not be surprised. As a Who says the Rams are the best team in the league. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good. Colorado Buffs fan again says, I think Cleveland's plan was to hold Shedeur until next season to use the excitement to justify the high ticket prices of the new stadium. Well, we did go into a report talking about Shedeur Sanders and his possible red shirt here, I think on the Friday show of coming off the bench. So if you want to get my thoughts and reactions about that, after today's show, after we're done with the stream here, you can probably go back to Friday's show, I believe. It's either Friday or Wednesday's show. We did a whole segment about that. So I highly recommend that you go and see that, Colorado Buffs fan. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out here. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Shows up on my dashboard here. And if you guys do subscribe and you haven't subscribed yet, I do shout you out. So thank you guys so much for coming out here on your Monday afternoon. Let's get on to the second segment, shall we? We're going to be talking about Shedeur Sanders and should Shedeur remain the starter. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, duh, absolutely, he should be the starting quarterback. Even I said he should be the starting quarterback going forward. But as I've said multiple times, do not be surprised if Kevin Stefanski decides to go back to Dillon Gabriel, because Dillon Gabriel or Kevin Stefanski has gotten the excuse. I've said this to like probably 50 times, and if you guys have been watching me for the last couple of weeks, you're probably sick and tired of me saying it, but I have to keep emphasizing this, because if it does happen this week, you guys are going to be prepared. Kevin Stefanski is going to have the excuse to bring back Dillon Gabriel because he pulled Dillon Gabriel, not because Dillon was playing bad, but because Dillon got hurt. Okay? That is why Kevin has been non-committal at, who the starting quarterback is going to be, right? And so now we're going to have to waste a whole another week about who should be the starting quarterback. Should Shedeur be the starting quarterback? Are they going to go back to Dillon Gabriel? All this other stuff. Because Kevin Stefanski does not want to say Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel. Because Kevin Stefanski went out on a limb last draft in 2025 in the third round and said, I want Dillon Gabriel. And remember, I said this multiple times too. There's many reports that said the Browns had Jackson Dart. They were coaching him in the Senior Bowl. The Browns' assistant coaches were coaching him in the Senior Bowl. They brought him in to the workout in the Browns facility in Berea. They had a bunch of looks at Jackson Dart, right? And they decided Jackson Dart was not it. He wasn't available. They didn't want him. They would rather have Dillon Gabriel, right? And the Browns, and especially Kevin Stefanski, went out on a limb in the third round and said, we're going to overdraft Dillon because we like Dillon and Dillon's my guy. That's what Kevin Stefanski believes and said, okay? So, Kevin's going to want to give Dillon Gabriel all the opportunities in the world to succeed going forward. But you can also not deny Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel. Shedeur Sanders, it's not, like, to me, it's not close. Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel. He just is, okay? He brings more energy to the team. He brings the confidence to the team that is struggling. It's struggling in terms of the morale on the team. He brings a desperately needed confidence and swagger to a team that desperately needs it, okay? Shedeur Sanders has this ethos and this, I don't want to say aura because I feel like that's just been like very cringe-worthy now, but he has this aura around him that he brings to the locker room that many other people have been picking up on, okay? And we're going to be talking about a certain someone in particular who has been catching up on, who's been catching on this Shedeur Sanders, aura train or whatever, and his confidence that he brings to the team. And a certain someone by the name of Myles Garrett had this to say regarding Shedeur Sanders, and I think that you could pretty much tell how Myles feels about Shedeur Sanders and where he thinks the Browns should put their whole thing on Myles Garrett or on the Shedeur Sanders saga. Hold on one second. I don't know what the hell happened. Something playing. I don't know why is this playing? Okay, never mind. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Here's Myles Garrett's comments, and this is, you guys can pretty much tell what he thinks about Shedeur Sanders and who the Browns should make the starting quarterback going forward.
I mean, he put it up, and I'm just like, oh God, who is that even going to? I wasn't even looking down there to Cotb, and then, I'm just looking. I'm like, oh God, please. And he drops it in the bucket, and he reaches it out. I'm like, please, just don't fumble into the end zone. And I'm just like, wow, there's not many guys in the league that can make that throw. So that was a hell of a throw. I hope he can continue to grow and develop, for making plays like that, and take it from there. He put. So
again, he says he hopes he can continue to develop and grow and make the reps there. To again, has he ever said that about Dillon Gabriel? Has he ever said that about Dillon Gabriel? In any game that Dillon Gabriel has played, in the 6 games that Dillon Gabriel has played, has Miles ever said anything like that about Dillon Gabriel? No, he hasn't. But again, you saw the reaction from Miles. You saw the reaction from the Browns players on the sideline after that throw. Miles said, there's not many guys in the NFL that can make that throw, and we hope that he can continue to develop and grow as a passer. I mean, to me, that Miles just said it right there. Miles just gave his stamp of approval without saying it explicitly. Miles wants Shedeur to be the starting quarterback going forward. He wants him to be the starting quarterback going forward. So if you have your best player, your Hall of Fame player, the face of your franchise, going out there in public and basically saying, we want this guy. We want him to continue to grow. We want this dude. Not many guys can make the throw that Shedeur Sanders just made over there in that play. We want him. To me, if you're Kevin Stefanski, you can't go back. You can't go back to that. You cannot go back to Dillon Gabriel. Like I said, the win against the Raiders team, and again, I understand it's the Raiders team, but to me, this win against the Raiders feels so much different than like the win against the Dolphins. Remember the Dolphins game last month? Remember how everyone was saying, "Oh, whoever loses this game is going to lose their jobs." This whole saga about Mike McDaniel versus Kevin Stefanski, and about, is Dillon Gabriel going to be playing better than Tua Tagovailoa? All this other stuff. You're coming off of the horrible loss against Pittsburgh, and the Browns come out there and they dominate the Dolphins in a bad weather game. They win 30-10, right? They win by some big margin. Nobody after that game was like, wow, Dillon Gabriel, we may have found something in Dillon Gabriel, right? Nobody said that. Nobody said, hey, wow, you know what? Dillon Gabriel, he played amazing. That was an amazing game by Dillon Gabriel. And you know what? The Browns won by 20. You know what? You may actually have something here with Dillon Gabriel. No, you didn't. And I'm sorry to Dillon Gabriel, but again, I said I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't even think he's a backup quarterback in the NFL. I think he is a third-string quarterback in the NFL. I do. I just don't see it. I think his height is a limitation, and I think his arm talent is a limitation. To me, this Raiders game is like a big boost for the Cleveland Browns. Nobody after the Dolphins game said, wow, the Browns' future high with Dillon Gabriel, right? But after the win against the Raiders, you got Shedeur Sanders playing well, the confidence that he brings to the team, everything felt different. Myles Garrett's coming out here and saying, yeah, not many guys can make the throw that Shedeur Sanders made to Isaiah Bond. We need this guy to continue to grow and develop him. We need to develop this guy because we think he's going to be special. So if you got Myles Garrett, who's the Hall of Fame player, your best player on your team, and I would probably say the voice of your locker room, who's going out there in public saying this stuff, I guarantee you, if you talk to most of the other guys in the locker room on this team, if you say, who would you rather have starting right now after what you saw versus the Raiders versus the last 6 games that you saw with Dillon Gabriel as the starting quarterback, who would you rather see start? Would you rather see Shedeur Sanders, or would you rather see Dillon Gabriel? I guarantee you probably 85% of the guys would say, we want to see Shedeur start. We want to see Shedeur to continue developing and him continue to get reps so that he can develop and grow and get better, right? I guarantee you that's probably 85%. And Kevin is going to be, he's going to have to be dragged by his hair. He's going to be fighting tooth and nail to probably keep Dillon Gabriel in because Dillon Gabriel is his guy. And, Dillon Gabriel not playing well is going to reflect badly on Kevin Stefanski. But, again, you got Miles saying this. the face of your franchise, probably the voice of your locker room, coming out here in public saying, we want Shedeur. I like Shedeur. Let's continue to develop this guy. That should be the end of the conversation there. And then, not to mention, I know this is going to be a side tangent, or a side topic, but not to mention, if you thought that having Myles Garrett would be the only reason, if you thought that was a lot of pressure to Kevin Stefanski and the Browns and that, if you thought that was a lot of pressure, Donald Trump tweeted about Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders was great. Wins first game, career start as a pro for Cleveland. Great genes. I told you so. Even Donald Trump, Trump's talking, saying Shedeur Sanders should be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. You literally have the President of the United States going against Kevin Stefanski. That's how insane this is. That is how insane this is. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, is against Kevin Stefanski and wants to see Shedeur Sanders be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know what fan base name there is for Shedeur Sanders fans. I don't know, but he's part of it. Okay? You got the President of the United States in the Shedeur Sanders fan camp. Congratulations on all of your success, guys. So, again, it's just insane. It's insane to me. Like, to me, there's no logical way that Kevin Stefanski can spin this to make putting Dillon Gabriel back out there any way better or acceptable to anybody. Okay? There is no possible way in hell that this is, acceptable. Okay? Again, I think going forward, Shedeur Sanders is probably going to be the starting quarterback. And the reason why I say that is because Kevin Stefanski was out here yesterday during his post-game press conference. And the reason why I am including this is because if you know anything about Kevin Stefanski, right? And I need Colorado fans, if you're watching, like Colorado Buffs fan, I don't know if you're a Browns fan or if you know how Kevin Stefanski works, okay? But I appreciate you watching. Kevin Stefanski usually, he's more cryptic, right? He's more cryptic in his answers, in the answers that he gives, right? But last week against the Ravens, Kevin came out here and he blatantly explicitly said that no matter what happens against the Raiders, if Shedeur Sanders plays good or bad, Dillon is our guy going forward. He's our starting quarterback. Well, after the game on Sunday, Kevin Stefanski had this to say about whether Dillon Gabriel would be the starting quarterback or whether Shedeur would be the starting quarterback going forward.
Get into that, Chris. I'm obviously, proud of him and proud of this offense, and there are a ton of things to learn from. But I'm just going to, worry about today. Get into that. Chris.
So again, he wouldn't answer the question. So now a lot of people are going to be saying, "Well, that doesn't mean anything. He didn't answer the question, right?" Well, here, this is the Kevin Stefanski translation. Okay. If Kevin Stefanski came out here last week and said, yeah, Dillon Gabriel is going to be our starting quarterback. He's our guy going forward, no matter what happens versus the Raiders, right? He said that last week. Said that point blank, outright. No questions or double meanings behind that statement. He said Dillon Gabriel's our guy going forward. Now he's backed off. He's not as committal. To me, when Kevin Stefanski does that, that usually means there is a change coming. To me, that is signaling Shedeur Sanders is probably going to stay on as the starting quarterback going forward. Because you hear this every single time, right? Even before during this season, right? With Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. Remember, during the game against the Minnesota Vikings, before that game started, after Sunday, I don't even remember what game did they play. It was the Lions game. That's the one it was. After the Lions game, the Browns get blown out. Joe Flacco looks horrible. Every single time, everyone was talking about, well, are you going to play Dylan Gabriel? No, Joe Flacco gives us the best chance to win. Joe gives us the best chance to win every football game. Well, after the Lions game, what did Kevin say? We're going to take a look at everything, and we'll see what's best for the football team. That's basically Kevin's way of saying, yes, we're going to make a change, without saying it. Kevin doesn't necessarily come out here and say, yeah, we're going to make a change. He doesn't explicitly say that. He usually explicitly says, we're going to stick with someone. We're going to stick with this guy. But when he doesn't say that, usually that is Kevin Stefanski speak for saying changes are going to come. So that's why, to me, it is more likely than not that the Browns are going to keep Shedeur Sanders on as the starting quarterback going forward. And it is definitely the right decision. There cannot be any confusion or mix-up going forward with, who the starting quarterback is going to be, because the reps that these guys need are so essential. And especially for Shedeur Sanders, who hasn't had first-team reps that much in his career so far, they are super important for a guy like Shedeur Sanders to develop and continue to grow. And I hope and I think the Browns are going to continue going forward with Shedeur Sanders, and that is the right move for the Browns going forward. All right, guys. That is all the segments I got for you today. You guys have been absolutely outstanding. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe if you are new. You guys have been absolutely killing it today. Thank you guys so much for coming out here on your Monday afternoon. Let's see. What do we got here? Beast Grills, what's up, man? Salute to you. Beast Grills says, great weekend for Cleveland sports. Cavs win, Buckeyes win, and clinch. And finally, a Shedeur Sanders Browns win. Yes, sir. Colorado Buffs fan says, I think they just didn't want to say Shedeur is the starter before personally telling Dylan it's not fair for him to find out he's not starting through the media. Yeah, I agree. I think they would say that, though, before, they go out to the media. I think they would tell him beforehand. London Jets fan says, I can't believe Kevin is going to start Gabriel against San Francisco. Shedeur has earned the next start. Yeah, I agree. Parmesan Sandhu says, man, I can't wait for the dome, but not ready for the price. I know. If you guys have not seen those prices, they are absolutely insane. They are insane. I'm hoping that they're going to go down a little bit, but that is it. They're just nuts. Parmesan again says, I hate the winter regardless, and the irony is my birthday is next month. Oh, well, happy early birthday to you. So I appreciate that. Hopefully you guys have a good birthday. If you come back, we'll give you an actual happy birthday on your birthday month. Colorado Bus fan says, Cleveland has a bad offensive playbook. It's not the talent. The receivers all end up in the same area. Flacco couldn't make this offense look good. Dylan couldn't. Yet Shedeur made it look better. Well, again, Colorado Buffs fan, the only thing is that the receivers are not good. They're not good. They are every single metric that is tested for receivers, they are the worst in the NFL at. Separation, they're last. Speed, they're last. They're just not good. They're not a good unit. And Jerry Jeudy being bad just makes it look even worse. Beast Girls again says, yeah, they have to start Shedeur. I concur with that. Buzz fan says, if they had started Shedeur during the bye week, they would have 5 wins with a chance to make it to the playoffs. Now every win will fall further in the draft. Well, yeah, I mean, again, this is what we've been saying for the last couple months. But I think they said, too, they weren't focused on winning. They wanted to get the guys developed, to be, good players in the NFL. So far, you know what? I'll give credit to Andrew Berry. I have said a lot of things about Andrew Berry. I do not like Andrew Berry, but you have to give it to him this year. I mean, the draft that he has had in the 2025 draft is amazing. I mean, everything has been a hit. We'll see about the quarterbacks going forward, but everything else has been a smashing hit. So I'll give credits and kudos to Andrew Berry for the draft this year so far. Bus fan again says, those be during post-game interviews immediately after a game. You can't announce a change at that time because they haven't had time to even meet with the team. Well, yeah, but like I said Kevin Stefanski's translation, he usually says, oh, no, we're going to stick with this guy. We're going to stick with this guy. But once he goes, yeah, well, we'll see. We're not going to say anything yet. That usually means that there's a change coming. That's why for 6 years hearing Kevin Stefanski talk to the media and talk about how he operates the team, when Kevin Stefanski says something that he says, oh, I'm not going to get into that, I'm not committal, blah, 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 that usually means that they're going to change something. So that's the reason why I put that in there. Okay, guys. Well, I think we're going to call it here. Thank you guys again so much for coming out here on your Monday afternoon. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We'll see you guys on Wednesday at noon Eastern for another edition of Coming Off the Bench. Until then, guys, take care. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys all Wednesday at noon. And have a good rest.